So Sevilla is one of the most popular places to visit in all of Spain. But what should you do here? What should you see? And what should you eat? Follow along in this video and we're gonna show you all of those for when you're in Sevilla.
So we are here in Sevilla and we're walking around the city, and then this kind of pops out of nowhere in the center. The Setas de Sevilla, they look like giant mushrooms, so that's why they're called that. It's really cool to see. So you can go up top if you want to, but I think right now it's closed, so we aren't able to do that. But we were able to make it up to this first floor to kind of see some of the buildings surrounding here, and it's a pretty nice sight to see.
One of the coolest things about Las Setas to me is that it really just looks like, well, Las Setas or mushrooms. Especially for a public art project that sometimes doesn't really stick. I really like this one, but I guarantee it was controversial when it was first built and perhaps still is today in Sevilla. So if you know if it is, let us know in the comments. Right now we are in the Barrio de Santa Cruz, which is the oldest neighborhood here in Sevilla. It's actually the old Jewish quarter, and these old neighborhoods that have been existing for years and years and years are one of our favorite things about Spain, because you can just walk through and get lost in these narrow alleyways. And make sure when you're here to also look up, because seeing the blue sky of Sevilla through these small alleyways with these beautifully painted buildings is one of our favorite things here. So right behind me here is the Maestranza. It's one of the most famous bull rings in the world and is actually home to the most famous bullfighting festival in the world right here in Sevilla. It sits about 12,000 people, and you can go inside for a tour, but we're not actually gonna do that. It was built in 1749 and is something you definitely have to see when you're here, even if you don't go inside. Whether you agree with bullfighting or not, you'll probably pass through this, and it is a big part of Sevilla culture as well as Spain culture, at least in the past. And while bullfighting itself is dying off, it's still something kind of cool to see because I think the architecture is rather iconic. So make sure you pass it when you're here in Sevilla. So while we originally planned this Sevilla travel guide to include food, we're actually not going to include food in this one. And that's because we found so many wonderful, great places here in Sevilla that are authentic and had amazing tapas. So we're actually making a second video for that. So make sure to like and subscribe so you get notified of that video immediately when we release it. And you won't miss any of our other ones. Now, back to Sevilla. So we are at the Plaza de España. It is absolutely stunning. I will say we are here on a Saturday midday, so I would recommend to get here either early or just pick a weekday. But that said, it is beautiful. The tile work is incredible and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So aside from being used in a Star Wars film as one of the planets, we're not huge Star Wars fans, but if you do know which planet, let us know in the comments because we just can't remember it off the top of our heads. But this was built in 1929 for the Ibero-American Exposition, and it's still here today. Now, I've been to Sevilla twice before, and both of the times I've been here, there was not water in the canals here. I don't know, it was a little bit uglier, but it is just amazing to see it with the canals. Now, one of my favorite parts is the tile work that has all the provinces in Spain all around the entire Plaza de España. So you see people stopping and taking pictures in front of the provinces that they're from. It's absolutely incredible, and it's something I think is really cool and representative of all of Spain. Make sure to take that walk around and take in each one of the provinces and maybe stop at one that you've been to and have a special connection with. So right behind me here is another one of the most famous sites in Sevilla, and that's the Torre del Oro. It's right on the Guadalquivir River, and it's a watchtower that was built in the 13th century to protect the city. Now the name Torre del Oro actually means Tower of Gold, and it's not because it's built of gold, but it's the gold reflection it gives on the river itself. At one point it was actually a prison, but now is home to a maritime museum or naval museum that you can actually pay to go inside and climb the tower. It's not something we're gonna do while we're here in Sevilla, but if it's of interest to you, it's a big historic monument, so it's a pretty cool site and definitely something you'll see when walking down the river in Sevilla, which is absolutely a must-do when you're here.
We are wandering around Sevilla and we happened to run into the cathedral here, so it's something we wanted to see, so we're gonna go check it out now.
So right now I'm here in the Patio de las Naranjas, and this is after we finished touring the Sevilla Cathedral. It was 13 euros at the door to go in, and we just decided to go in. Now, if you plan on coming here when you're in Sevilla, make sure to buy your tickets ahead of time. You save €1, so it's 12 euros online or 13 euros at the door. And that gives you a chance to walk through the entire cathedral, see some of the most impressive things, and one of the biggest cathedrals in the world, and definitely the biggest in Spain. And included in the ticket price, you can climb up La Giralda here. There are 34 times around, and it's all a ramp. It was originally a minaret when this cathedral was built as a mosque back in the 12th century. When the Christians took over this part of Spain in the Reconquista, they converted the whole thing to a cathedral and converted the minaret to a Renaissance bell tower. So it's definitely worth it to climb all the way up. This is a marvelous cathedral, and it's something you have to visit when you're here in Sevilla. It's one of the main focal points of the city, and we highly recommend doing it. The only thing that's a little bit icky per se, but also full of history, is that Christopher Columbus, or Cristobal Colon, is buried here, so you can see his tomb. It's definitely a dark part of history, but it's one thing that makes this cathedral very unique, aside from its size, architecture, and just pure beauty. So without a doubt, one of the top things here to do in Sevilla that you'll probably see on every video, every blog, every guide you see is the Real Alcazar de Sevilla. A pro tip is to buy your tickets online ahead of time. A standard general entrance without any of the extra special pieces is $14.50 a person, and you have to book a time slot. Now we're here in February, and the tickets do sell out. They do book up, so make sure you book those ahead of time. And another pro tip, I guess a pro tip this time, since we already had one, is that Mondays are free. However, you do have to book those online. So book those super early if you know you're coming and you're gonna be here on a Monday in Sevilla and you wanna come see the Real Alcazar. So let's see what this is all about.
We are here at the Real Alcazar in Sevilla, and it is absolutely stunning. I will say it reminds me a lot of the Alhambra in Granada, which is even more stunning, but this is still very beautiful. I love all of the nooks and crannies, the different rooms you can go in. The architecture is just beautiful, and then we're outside in the garden right now, and it is beautiful as well. I will say there are a lot of lights and Christmas lights up, disco balls around, so I don't know if they're planning something here at night. I'm not gonna lie, it looks a little tacky here right now during the day, but maybe it's for something special, an event, or something that they do every night. Who knows?
Right over here, when you cross the Puente de Triana, or the Bridge of Triana, or the Bridge of Isabel II, you enter the Triana neighborhood. And now this neighborhood is known because it was once the home to ceramic artists, bullfighters, and flamenco artists. And it's a really cool, unique neighborhood. It actually has a ton of its own history, and people really hold it near and dear to heart. The locals say, "Soy de Triana, not soy de Sevilla," because it just really holds that unique, authentic neighborhood characteristic that we love. But we're not gonna head there in this video, even though you should head there during your time in Sevilla. You're gonna have to check out our Triana's Tapas tour to find out all about that neighborhood and a bunch of great places to eat, so make sure to check that one out. A perfect way to end your time here in Sevilla is to come down to the Guadalquivir River, right next to the Puente de Triana, or Puente de Isabel II, and see the sunset. You get to see a beautiful sunset over Triana. Usually it's packed with people, but today there aren't a lot of people because it was just downpouring about an hour ago. And that's perfect for us. While our seats are a little bit wet, we're gonna sit here and enjoy this, and make sure you check out our other videos while you're here and enjoy this guide to help you enjoy Sevilla when you come visit. Bye.